Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I always love when we get together because the insight is amazing. She has this way of looking at you when she's thinking something because she's intuitive and she helps other people with their intuitive strengths. And we all have them, but we need to realize them and harness that power. And she helps people who help others heal or deal with other people. And that could be nurses, doctors, it could be a lawyer. There's a level of intuitiveness there, and she helps bring that out. And she's amazing. And she is Jessica Mangum, and she's back with us. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing great. It's beautifully sunny today and all good things.
So I'm going to tell you before we even got on, your audio, even when you turned your head, and I know it's from the AirPods, I guess, sounds different every once in a while. So I want to make sure we hear you clear because it's super important. Yeah.
Is this good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to move my head. I'm just going to keep it just.
I don't know what it is. And I've never heard that before, even with, and your audio is usually crystal clear. Even before we dig into what you do, we're going to take some callers too. You can reach us 631-319-6275 or instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. How did this all begin with you being able to read people, pick up on spirit, high level of intuitiveness, you being an empath? How did it begin?
I'm glad you're asking that. When I was younger, realized I was highly intuitive. Now, when you're a child, you don't understand these things, but I could always sense what was going on in the room, even when I went to bed. And I talked about this, I think, in the first one that we did, the first
Yep.
session,
Mm-hmm.
that I would pull blankets over me because I'd have visitors. And I don't want to scare anybody, but they would be a little bit darker, unknown. I couldn't identify what was going on, so I just kind of pretended like it wasn't happening, but I could always hear voices. And it wasn't until my late 20s, after I had gotten my schooling, went to college, all the good stuff, all the things that a good girl is supposed to do, right? I got my degree. And I was married then to a gentleman who was from Thailand, and he was Buddhist, and told me, because my mind was all over the place. I had a 2-year-old baby. I was a little overwhelmed with life, let's just say, trying to be a stay-at-home mom, which for the record, I am not. I tried that. I have the utmost respect for stay-at-home moms. But he suggested meditation because in Buddhist practice, obviously you start with the breath work. And at that time, I was living in Orlando, Florida. This is important because there was so much sunshine there that I would lay down in my bed when my daughter was taking a nap, and I would start with just breathing, focusing on the breath and following the breath moving through my body and coming back out. And I would do that for about 10 minutes. And right about 10 minutes, every time I would get this sensation of leaving my body. And I started to see colors and see shapes and see going through what I now understand is like portals. It kind of freaked me out, but at the same time, I knew I was safe. And it was during that time, and I would meditate for 30, 45 minutes a day, that I started to hear this voice that would come through. And anyone who knows me, who's worked with me, knows that I work with my primary guide, whose name is William, who looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi, no joke. And I found, I didn't even know he had a name at the time. I was 28. And he would just come in and I would talk in my head about how angry I was about this situation, that situation, how frustrated I was with having a toddler. And he would come back with, just breathe, be gentle, show her love, like step away. And these were things that I hadn't been taught. And from that time on, I would go through my daily just asking him questions and getting answers, like, should I get Life cereal or Cheerios? Those sorts of things, just in general. But it was from there, and talking to William and learning that we have this outside resource that we don't even know to tap into, that's always there. And he's not telling me horrible, horrible things. I remember going to a counselor after I had been talking to him for a while and saying, And going to this like, let's talk about that. I mean, there's obviously a difference between being told not so positive things and then being told very light, loving things. And he always came in with light and color. So I learned too that those colors actually represented different frequencies of angels and ascended masters and people. Like I can look at people and see their auras with my eyes closed. So
Wow.
yeah.
Is he still part of your life?
Oh, he's right here. He's actually the cardinal on my wrist. There's a whole story there.
And he's
Yeah.
just what would you describe him as?
An all-knowing, loving guide and being, a light being. Uh, through regression work, I learned who he was, and it wasn't that someone did it for me. Sometimes I go into a meditative state and ask to see something specific. I used to be a nun, past life. I mean, you can tell, right?
For a second there, I was like, is this in the current life? Wait a minute. Where do we go? We have a
No,
we we have a daughter. I know that.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
definitely not a nun in this life. I I
Wow.
did not choose that path. Yeah, go where you want with that. But yeah, so I was a nun. This was probably the 1500s. I remember stone buildings and like grass, like a grassy knoll and like a patch of grass, and then this bench. And I remember him. He was sitting down next to me. Obi-Wan Kenobi beard, the thing, the hood, the brown, the belt, everything, like a monk. And he had his hand on my leg, and I was going through a really tough time with, let's just say, with some of the priests. And he said, "I'll always be with you." And then I came back to the present day. And so when he's around me, I feel him in my heart. I feel comfort. I feel safe. I know which lane to get in traffic. For example, it's I guess he was my inspiration for why I stepped into doing this work because I did not always do this work. I've always been a teacher. I have a graduate degree in education. Like that's my background, right?
Wow.
And I was teaching and he came in and said, "You need to start working with people." And I resisted and resisted and resisted. And I bumped into some people and gave them messages from spirit and it changed their lives. And he said, "You see, this is not for you."
Did you feel that doing it on your own? A lot of us don't, I'm a team player. I like to work with people. I'll do my own thing, but I would rather be in a group environment or work with somebody else. Do you think that he gave you the courage to do that, knowing that you're kind of working with somebody else? He's kind of there in the background, but he's there and he's kind of
Mm.
pushing you along and guiding you. If he wasn't, you probably wouldn't have done it, right?
No,
Hmm.
he showed me. So I see life through a lot like you, songs and movies. And so I was sitting at my desk typing away. I was actually taking on a registrar position. I was supposed to be teaching. I mean, whatever. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. But I remember feeling not so happy, pretty miserable. And this vision came into my head of, do you remember Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade when he has to go through those different challenges? And
Yes.
anyway, the
Yeah.
first they get their head chopped off. The second one they have to spell Yahweh in the stone. And the third one was the leap of faith. And he showed me the image of Indiana Jones lifting the leg up and then landing on nothing. And he said, "It's time." And I said, "All right, we'll prove it. Show me." And he did. He introduced, there was a woman where I was working, standing in a long corridor hallway. I was giving out surveys to the students at that time. And she was standing against the window. She had a clipboard. So of course I'm going, "Oh great, she's probably gonna ask me questions." So I bypassed her, went to do the survey, came back, and she looked at me and she said, "You talk to angels, don't you?" And I was flabbergasted, just random. "You talk to angels, don't?" Didn't even say hello. Like, "You talk to angels."
So are you saying this just
Remember,
random woman just said that to you?
random woman,
Wow.
things
Hmm.
like that. Yeah.
Do you think that she was there for a reason how did she even pick up on that you connect?
Now I know. At that time, I didn't understand. It blew my mind.
How long ago
She
would you
told me
say? How long ago would you say that was?
that was 8 years ago.
Wow.
Was Izzy born yet? No, I was pregnant with my now almost 9-year-old. So I guess it was 9 years ago.
Which is
Yeah,
fairly recent. Which is fairly recent to you know receive something like that, albeit you were feeling it all along the way. When you were
right.
younger, much younger. Wow. Hmm. So, does he guide William? Does he guide you along the way? Like now, even just you're making your life decisions. Do you feel a presence? And does he speak to you, or do you ask, or both?
Interesting. This is why I love working with you. I love your questions. So poignant. So here's the thing, and I've mentioned it before. I can't hear him if I'm flying by the seat of my pants, like most of us do.
Say
I
that
just
again because I want to make sure your audio is a little funky for a second. I want to make
again,
sure.
I
Yeah,
hit.
I don't know what it is,
Okay,
but I want to make sure I didn't miss it because it's like it sounded. I need to hear that.
okay. I can't hear him if I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
How do you mean?
Could you hear me?
Yeah, I got you totally clear.
So, I got a kid, I got a husband, my kid's in Taekwondo, she does hockey, she does this, I'm going here, I'm going there, I've got clients, I'm busy all day, I've got, work and all these things that I do. And so if I don't stop to actually hear what he has to tell me or to ask the questions, I can't hear him. So I will say, if I'm still, if I'm
Hmm.
meditating, if I'm being quiet, he will talk to me. But 9 times out of 10, because we have our own free will, right? 9 times out of 10, I ask the questions, what do I do in this situation or scenario? And then he will respond. And it's not just him. I learned that William, he's my guide, but I also talk to many, many different light beings. And I want to be careful because I talk to religious beings that we put on a pedestal. Jesus, for example, wouldn't be, if you were walking around today, he'd be like, I'm just, talk to me. It's all about love. Don't put me up here else we can't relate,
Mhm.
you know?
So you
He
call it
wants
like
to be a friend.
I think we're gonna grab a call, but would you say that's kind of like your spirit team?
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
all have a spirit team.
Let's go to. I'm not sure who is this. Can you hear us?
Yes, my name is Billy.
Hi, Billy. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
Good. I see you're from Teaneck, New Jersey, and Jessica is here. Say hi to her.
Hello, Jessica.
Hey, Billy, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I had a question for you.
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm a huge empath, and it's become kind of debilitating. Other people's pain and their negative energy, it really seems to sometimes take an emotional toll on me. And I was wondering if you had any advice on how I could protect myself or stop it from affecting me so deeply.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful question. We've talked about empathic um,
Yeah.
behavior in the past for sure. One of the things that I like to do is, and go ahead and I know you're on a call, but you're not driving, are you, Billy?
Say, your audio is a little funky for a second there again. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
It's doing
Yeah, he
thing.
was. I don't. I wasn't able to hear you, so I'm sure Billy didn't hear you clear.
no, I wasn't able to hear all of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's really weird.
This is what happens when you deal with energy. I'm not even kidding. I've been.
No, it is.
No, I'm serious. I've
Well,
I've
and
been. I've seen psychics. I've worked with psychics before, and they've had headphones on, and they disintegrate on their head.
oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
and you know what, Steve and Billy, I just did a Reiki session right before this.
Uh,
So I'm like, I need to maybe ground or like eat some chocolate or something.
yeah, go
Can
hug a
you hear
tree.
me now? Go hug a
I can
tree.
hear you perfectly now.
Okay, are you driving right now?
No, no, no. I'm sitting down. I'm
Okay,
I'm
cool.
in my car, but I'm not driving.
Okay. So I want you to close your eyes and
Right.
you're gonna do this first thing in the morning. I want you to envision that you're wearing like a suit of armor, like you're a knight in shining armor. There are many ways to do this. I'm gonna give you multiple tools and you see which one works. Okay. And you're going to pick whatever metal you want. You're going to start with your toes, and you're going to feel the metal moving up from your toes and planking up into your ankles and into your legs, kind of like Tin Man, right? To your knees, to your thighs, to your hips, all the way up your core and out your arms to your hands and all the way up to your head. And you want to make sure you put a helmet on too, covered in metal. And as my daughter would say, you have to make sure you have the little door to open so you can eat with the helmet.
Okay.
But when you do that, I want you to at the same time call in the Archangel Gabriel, who's about communication, and Michael.
Okay.
Feeling that energy around you. And then as you walk into certain spaces, it's bizarre. This is how energy works, though. You'll feel like people will feel your energy. They won't react to you the same way because I can see from you and the way you grew up in your past, you held a lot of other people's emotions for them when they couldn't from the time you were young. So now you're learning how to release that. And I can see that you're doing work surrounding that, which is beautiful. I can feel it in your heart. That's good. Whatever work you're doing is working. So do that. And another one of my favorites to think about, when someone starts talking about their personal stuff and you can feel it in your body, where do you feel it in your body? Notice that. For me, it's the stomach, the solar plexus and heart. Do you know where you feel it?
It's the heart and the mind, I would say.
Okay. So I would focus on those areas and breathe your name into them. So breathe in Billy into them, hold it for a second, and breathe out the situation. Nice big deep breaths, just releasing. So you're using the element of air to clear whatever you're holding onto that's not yours. And then from there, sometimes when I get that feeling, I'll imagine, this is my favorite. I just shared this with my hairdresser today. I'll imagine that I'm a chauffeur in a limousine. I've got the manuals, right? Or I'm in charge of everything. And when someone starts talking about stuff that I can feel it's hitting me, I imagine I'm rolling the glass between me and them. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. It does make sense.
I actually use the same analogy. I really do that when talking about somebody, call it letting their emotional wall down. I say, let your window down a little bit more, same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the opposite. So this for empaths is helpful because we feel everybody's stuff. So when you put that imaginary, quote unquote, glass in between you and that person or the situation, it really helps block. And I do that. I have to do it every day because of the people who I'm working with, my clients. Right?
Wow.
All the time.
Billy, is that helpful for you?
Actually, it's been very helpful. Thank you very much, Jessica. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome, Billy. I'm giving you a big hug.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for checking in. A question for you, Jessica. When you said that, where do you feel the energy from others? Whether, Billy said in his heart, in his mind. How is that different? Let's say it was in your stomach. How's that different?
It's interesting. There are many, I guess, theories of thought on that. Everybody I've noticed that I work with feels differently. They pick up energy in different places in their own bodies. And this is why I don't necessarily, I'm just going to put this side note in, because everybody has their own connection to their higher self and the healing aspects of themselves, as well as like, let's just say the God presence, they're going to feel and see differently. So me, I feel it in my gut and heart.
Me too.
Yeah, him, he must be a big thinker, right? So he feels that maybe he's an air sign. I don't know. Here, and a big, huge heart. So he picks it up here. It's hard to answer your question too without going too much into how the chakras develop and what's going on at that time in your life. And I mean, there's a lot of that you can integrate into this.
Well, interesting that you say that because we're both Virgos. So obviously we're the same earth signs or same, are we earth signs? I don't even know. Whatever we are. Okay. We both feel things in our stomach. That's everything resonates for me there. Emotion, everything. Not so much up here. It's centered below.
Yeah, so we could think of it this way too. Virgo's stomachs tend to be the soft spot. Whereas like a Leo, it would be the heart.
Which explains the ulcer I got 6 years ago. So there, there you go. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Had no idea what it was. And it just kept festering. And was like, something's not right here. And I went
Yeah.
on for 6 months. And one day on my birthday, I said, I'm going to the hospital. Typically a guy doesn't turn around and say, I gotta go. But my blood pressure, normally low, everything's great. From the anxiety of not knowing what it was, sent me there and it was all good. They figured it out. But what was it? Not enough sleep, too much stress, taking on too many jobs, personal life.
You? No.
Yeah, Virgos don't do that, any of that. Yeah. And that's why I said I'm a reformed Virgo now, because I try to let that stuff go. Yeah.
Well, and you didn't really have a choice. No, that's kind of how life happens. What I was going to say too is that the solar plexus is actually the power center. It's a confidence center. So if you ever felt like the power was taken away, sometimes it'll, well, not sometimes, medically, you may have an impact if it happens over time, right?
Interesting. Wow. And you said
Yeah.
Archangel Michael and Gabriel.
Uh-huh.
I get them confused. Is Michael the protector?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Gabriel?
And so Gabriel is the communicator. You have Gabriel all around you, and he comes through in frequency, and it makes sense. Look at, duh, you're a communicator, so of course you would have that angelic energy surrounding you. But when I close my eyes, it's copper. Looks like a copper color. To some people, he's blue. To some people, or shoot, I don't know how to gender. And then Michael's like an ultraviolet color.
Wow. And yet you get those images, like you close your eyes. Do you see things just in everyday life, or when you're doing readings, or when you're connecting?
Everyday life, no. It is when I'm very focused, centered in my spiritual space. But there are times too, like when I'm getting on an airplane, I'll call in Michael to protect the whole plane, you know? Or
Hmm.
if my kids are going somewhere and I'm concerned, that's who I call in. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's a great idea. And for anybody that doesn't truly believe in things like that, what do you got to lose? It's not gonna do anything, no harm in thinking
No.
that way. So you mentioned Reiki before. I know that you work with people to help them heal others and bring up their energy, connect with others. We talk about, could be somebody in the medical field, could be somebody who is, could be a principal of a school, whatever it might be. Do you also do those direct readings for people that just want maybe virtual Reiki or want some kind of intuitive connection? Do you do those as well?
Just the readings themselves?
All of the
Yeah.
above? Yeah.
As so I do them less and less because I do so much of the package work, metamorphosis, and the evolution program. But I do sometimes, when I have breaks in between those packages with clients, I will do readings. So sometimes I do just a reading. I had one or two yesterday, actually. Just an intuitive reading. Sometimes the medium stuff comes through. This person yesterday, her grandmother came through. But typically it's the reading itself, and I do these at the beginning of every package session. I always do a reading. I will look and see what's surrounding the person energetically. And then I look at their chakras and I see if they have family members that are coming in, or any friends, or past loved ones that have messages. And then I often will do, like I said, the tarot, your favorite. And
Weren't we going to do that? We never did.
we're going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll harass you about it.
You don't have
Um,
to twist my arm. I'm on board. Yeah, absolutely. Except, you know
it's
what it is? We
it's
talk about it. We
fun.
run out of time. Oh yeah. Yeah. I would love to see you do that.
Well, and I will say I love feedback, because feedback helps me understand my work, how I'm affecting people, and everyone who leaves, every time they leave, and I tell them this too, they feel so much lighter and better. And then I know I'm doing my job, and I
Yep.
hear the same thing coming from this direction, and there's nothing more fulfilling for them or me.
I'll bet. Yeah. And same thing on the Reiki level, and same thing on even
Yeah.
involving chakras. We're out of time. I don't know where it goes. Zoom's on by.
Well, I'm glad we got to talk to Billy.
Yeah.
That was
And learned a lot even from that. And I'll do that visual. I don't think I'm an empath, but I do think I take on things from other people, as do most of us at the same time.
Yeah. You're an empath.
I don't know if that's good or bad, because I'm the one that calls everybody out.
Me neither. Well, you're direct. You're a direct empath.
No, I do. I mean, I had a friend who's a nurse. I don't know if I shared. We not as connected as we were, but I would tell her, "You're an empath." Well, I think, not really. Well, okay. So you need to take a day off after you work 2 days as a nurse, because you need to recover from all of that. Why do you think that is? It's not just the schedule. It's not just the, you know, maybe lack of a little bit of sleep. It's because you take it all on. You bring it all into you. And that's, you need to recover from it. So you got to use the coat of armor with the opening to eat, which I love, which makes perfect sense. That's what a kid would say, the rationale of that. Your website is it? I'm trying to remember. It's your name, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
JessicaMangum.com. MANGUM.
Always great talking with you.
Yeah. You too. It's so much fun. I feel like we don't have enough time.
Yeah, and your audio was good, but we're going to work on that. I don't know. You have to clear your energy out before before we do these. I'm going to do one final thing. Take one earpiece out.
Okay.
Okay, now talk.
I'm talking.
Okay, move your head. And talk.
Hi, how are you? How's it going?
That sounds great. I don't know. I think maybe they were phasing each other out. I don't know.
Steve, I had a call with a person, actually another healer.
And now they're messing up. Now they're messing up again. Now your audio's
again?
Yeah. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Okay, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll try to keep this quick because I'm looking at the time. I had just finished a Reiki session. I went outside to clear and go in the sun. I just kind of breathe that energy in, not realizing she amplified it. Got on the call with her. Nothing. She couldn't hear me. It was the most for 30 minutes. Nothing. She kept saying, "Jessica, are you there?" Finally had to email and say, "It's too much power." I turned TVs off.
It doesn't surprise me for a
crazy.
second. I don't want to say I've seen it all. I've seen a lot of it. And when energy is exchanged, involved with technology, talk about Mercury retrograde, it happens. It happens. They're going to cut us off. So
They are.
It was great talking with you, and we'll connect soon and look forward next time we talk.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.